Good morning, students, and welcome to Managing Financial Operations. Myself, Dr. Deepa Srivastav, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management, Noida, welcomes you to this session. Today, we are going to understand what is a balance sheet, and we will also go through some of the concepts related to balance sheet. Now, this particular session will have certain objectives. We will first introduce and find out what is a balance sheet as one of the financial statement. We will also try to know the various concepts which are related to balance sheet. Now, what is a balance sheet? We have already seen that accounting is divided into so many phases. First, we do the recording, then we prepare the trial balances, and finally, in the last part, we prepare some financial statements, that is profit and loss account and the balance sheet. We have already seen what is a profit and loss account and how it is being prepared. Once the profit and loss account is prepared, the next step is that we have to prepare a balance sheet. So this is the last part of your accounting process. And in this particular statement or a balance sheet, we show the balances of the various accounts. That is, whatever are the assets and the liabilities, the changes in the assets and liabilities are shown at the end of the accounting period. Now, this balance sheet is basically a summary of the position of different assets and liabilities. This statement is prepared on a particular date, that is at the end of the accounting year. So, on that particular day, what is the position of the different assets and the liabilities that is being shown by the balance sheet. And this balance sheet also follows the accounting equation. I hope you all remember what was the accounting equation. That is, assets is equals to capital plus liabilities. That is, capital which is equal to the owner's equity plus liability. So similarly, now this balance sheet on one side will show all the assets, and on the other side it will show the liabilities and the capital which is owned by the owner, and this should be equal as the accounting equation. This balance sheet depicts the organization's ability to pay its current debts. That is, this particular statement, balance sheet, comments on the financial position of your organization. How financially your organization is viable, that is the ability, how well you are as an organization in a position to pay your liabilities. So, what is the assets? What assets are there which are equivalent to your liability? What is the value of different assets? What is the quality of different type of assets? What makes those assets? That is the understanding which balance sheet is going to give. So what are the different assets? What are the value of the assets? And along with those assets, what are the liabilities? And what is the worth, what is the value of that liability? So if we look into the various assets and liabilities which are shown in the balance sheet, we can easily find out that whether the business will be able to meet its liability. That is, if suddenly you have to pay for your liability, what is the quality of assets? What are the different assets which are available with the business so that assets can be used to pay your liability. So this is what we can find out from our balance sheet. So that is why we say it is a statement which shows the financial position. Where do you stand? What is the value and the quality of your assets and liability, and how well you are in a position to pay your liabilities. It also shows the efficiency. Yes, efficiency, how efficiently you are managing the value of your assets, the quality of your assets and the liability which are there within your organization. That can be seen, and it will comment on your efficiency, how efficiently you are utilizing your assets for your operations. Your profitability is totally dependent on how efficiently the assets of the business are being utilized, and you are creating liability also for those assets. So how the liabilities are created and how you are using the assets, how the profits are being earned, how much of the profit has been earned. So this balance sheet will comment on the efficiency of the organization in managing the organized operations. And It also shows the claim of owners against the business assets. Again, the accounting equation that assets are equal to capital plus liability. So whatever assets are there, they are two different class have a claim on it. One is the liability and another is the capital, that is the owner. So the value of the assets have a claim, is to be claimed by two people or two classes, that is capital and the liability. So this will show how much of the claim can be made by the owner on the assets of your organization. Now this balance sheet will show us three different things. It will be showing the assets on one side, which is owned by the business, that is something which is being enjoyed by the business has a right on these. So the value of the assets are owned by the business. Then on the second side, we will have the liabilities, that is the obligations of the business, which the business has to pay in the near future, or what the business owes to other. Then we will have the equity, the claim of your owners in the name of capital. So it will be shown on the other side along with the liability. When we were preparing profit and loss account, then at that time we have seen certain concepts which are related to profit and loss account. Now similarly, when we are preparing a balance sheet, we have to keep in mind the certain concepts which are related to balance sheet. The first one is the entity concept. Now this entity concept says that the business and businessman are two separate persons. The identity of businessman, the owner, is different from its business. You cannot mix the two identities. So the very concept of accounting equation, that is assets is equals to liability plus capital. Capital is the investment by the owner, but this capital is not considered as an asset. No, why? Because business is a separate entity. For a business, this capital, which is the investment by the owner, is considered as a liability. Why? Because business is a separate person in the eyes of law. So business has to return this capital in near future to the businessman. So that is why the accounting equation says assets are equal to liability plus capital. Capital is considered as a liability. Why? Because business and businessman are two separate people. Business owns the assets and it owns certain liabilities, and capital is a liability for them. The transactions related to the business must be recorded separately, and those of the owner or others should be recorded separately. Now this concept, the entity concept, says that whatever transactions are related to the business, it belongs to the business. But if there is any transaction which is related to the owner or any other business, it should not be recorded within the books of this particular business. Why? Because this business is a separate person, is an artificial person. It has its own identity in the eyes of law, and the owner is a separate person. So they are two different persons. Business is a separate person and businessman is a separate person. So the transactions related to the businessman or the transaction related to the other businesses of the businessman should not be recorded in this business books. Why? Because this is a separate person. This particular concepts make it very clear that owner has to be considered as one of the creditor for the business. So owner is a creditor. That is why the capital is shown as a liability. Just like other creditors, he is also the creditor to the business. Now if we look at the forms of organization, then limited company itself, the law says that yes, it's artificially person in the eyes of law. So there is a clear distinction that company is separate from its owner. It is legally, it has been given as a identity. So it is an artificial person in the eyes of law. But yes, when we prepare the books for the partnership and the sole proprietorship, then there can be some confusion that yes, whether the partnership and sole proprietorship, whether these two persons are separate or not. But for accounting purpose, when we are preparing the accounts, whether you are preparing the accounts for a partnership or a sole proprietorship or for a company, for the accounting purpose, the owners are separate from the business. Both will be considered as separate, and only the transactions related to the business will be recorded, and all the transactions which are not related to the business, which are of personal nature related to the owner, are not going to be shown in this particular books of account. This is the entity concepts which we have to consider in balance sheet and which is clearly visible from the accounting equation. Another important concept is a going concern concept. Now this concept says going concern, that is, business is going to continue. Business is not going to have any fixed lifespan and it will be going on. So for a longer period of time it will be there. So there is no definite time period of the life for a business. Owners may come, owners may go, but the business will go on because it has a separate entity. It is separate from the existence of the owner. So it is not related to the life of the owner. It supports the concept of valuing the assets at a historical cost or a replacement cost. Now what happens when we prepare or when we buy an asset? We use the concept of depreciation. That is, we divide the value of the asset into the life of that asset, and for every year we charge depreciation. So this concept supports that business is going to be there for a longer period of time. So if you have purchased an asset which has a life of 10 years, so the value of the asset, the cost which you have incurred on the asset should be charged for 10 years, not for 1 year. Why? Because business will be going on. Business is not going to be closed. So business will be there. So instead of charging the full value of the asset in 1 year, it should be charged in parts as a depreciation. So this particular concept supports that. It also supports the treatment of prepaid expenses. That is, although we have paid the expenses in this year, but business is going to be there for a longer period of time. So I paid for the expenses in this year, but I'm going to enjoy the benefits of those expenses in future. So that is why don't write those expenses, prepaid expenses, in this accounting year. Take it to the period for which it belongs. Why? Because business is going to be there. Business is not going to be closed down. So even if you are preparing the accounts, whenever the accountant is preparing the accounts or writing the books of account, he always assumes that the business will go on. Business is not going to close in the near future. Now, if we look at this particular concept that business is a going concern, we can easily correlate with the concept of capital and revenue nature incomes and expenses, because business is there for a very longer period of time. So the expenses which the benefit of which will be received by the business for a longer period of time are considered as capital nature, and the benefit of which is going to be received by the business for a shorter period of time, we consider it as of revenue nature. So depending on the nature of the expenses and income, we charge these expenses and income in our financial statements, because business is there. Business is not going to be closed in a near future. So whatever are the nature of the expenses, the benefit, according to the benefit which we are going to receive from this, we used to show them in our financial statements. And the depreciation, which I already told you, is the very basis of this particular, which is based on this particular concept. That is, we divide the value, the economic life of that asset, and then we charge it in our financial statement, because business will be there for a very longer period of time. So we charge it in future depending on how many years the business, that particular asset is having the life. And similarly for the prepaid and the accrual expenses also. Whatever is not related to this year, don't write it here. Write it in that particular period for which it is being related. Why? Because business is there. Business is not going to be closed down. It will be there tomorrow also. So write what is related to that particular year only, and when actually the time comes for those expenses or income, show it in that particular year. Now the next is the accrual concept. Now this concept, which we have already seen in the last sessions also, that this concept is very much related to the finding out a distinction between when the cash is being received and when you have received the right to receive it. So accrual concept says the right to receive is more important. When actually you are receiving cash or making the payment, that is not important. The right to receive the payment or the obligation to make the payment is very important. So if you have received the right to receive the payment, that is the time it has to be recorded, irrespective of when actually you are going to receive it. Similarly, if you have received the legal obligation to pay, this is the time you have to record it, irrespective of when actually you are going to make the payment. So this accrual concept says the time when actually the obligation arises or the right arises related to the payments and the income, that is the time which has to be recognized. So when I'm preparing the balance sheet, at that time I have to be very sure that yes, the value of your assets and liabilities should be shown as per the right to receive or the obligation to pay. So the changes in the value of assets and liabilities should be made according to this accrual concept. If you have received some right, okay, it should be shown in your assets and liabilities, irrespective whether you have received the payment or not. Similarly, if there is an obligation to pay, it should be shown as your liability, irrespective whether you have paid it or not. So obligation, the time of getting the legal obligation and the right to receive the payment is very important. And that is why we say for every transaction we find out what is the impact of that transaction on the owner's equity. We have already seen that assets are equal to liability plus capital, or we can say capital is owner's equity, which also shows the profits, which also shows the revenues. That is the difference between the revenue and expenses, which becomes the profit. So every transaction is going to impact the owner's equity. So whatever is those transactions, it should be recorded according to the accrual concept. Now look at this example. A hotel is selling a room for rupees 55,000 and the sale is made on 25th March 2019. Now, when the sale is being made, the sale is being made in the accounting year 1st April 2018 to 31st March 2019. This will come in that particular year. But the payment is not received until 10th of April and the amount is due and payable to the firm on the date of sale. It is due on 25th of March, but the payment is not being realized by the company, by the hotel, which will be paid on 10th of April. Now, two accounting periods are involved over here. One is 1st April 2018 to 31st March 2019 and another is 1st April 2019 to 31st March 2020. Now, two dates are there. On one date, the sale has been made and the other date when the amount has been realized. So, my accrual concept says no. When the date, when you have actually realized, that is not more important. When actually you got the right to receive the money, that is more important. So the company, the hotel got the right to receive the money on 25th of March. So this particular sale will be recorded on 25th of March, irrespective of the fact that the amount will be realized on 10th of April. No, that is not important. So it should be included in the revenue for the year ending 31st March 2019. Similarly, whatever are the expenses you have made for this services, it has to be recorded for that particular, in that particular time period itself, irrespective when actually you have made the payment. So, for example, now the last example which we have seen, the expenses will be recorded in the year which is going to end on 31st March 2019, although it may be possible that the payments were not made until 31st March. No, that is not important. The obligation to pay that expenses, it arised in the accounting year which ended on 31st March 2019. So it should be recorded over there. When the payment is going to made, that is not important because we are following the concept of accrual. For us, what is more important? When you receive the right to, when you got the right to receive the money, when you got the legal obligation to pay the money, that date is more important as per the accrual concept. So when we are preparing the balance sheet, this has to be kept in mind that the changes in the value of assets and liabilities should be done as per the accrual concept. Next is a dual concept. This is a very known concept to us because we all are following the double entry system, and the double entry system says that yes, the basic principle of your accounting is dual aspect. That is, every transaction will have two aspects. Every transaction will have two impacts. One is the giving and another is a receiving. Whatever happens in the business, there will be two impacts on this. Business will be gaining something and business will be giving something. So this particular concept says that whenever there is a transaction, identify those two aspects, the giving aspect and the receiving aspect, and both the aspects has to be recorded. That is, for every debit there has to be a credit. So two aspects are there, giving and receiving. So one is your debit aspect and another is your credit aspect. So both the aspects has to be recorded. If you record only one aspect, if you record only the giving aspect, if you record only the debit aspect, you don't record the second aspect, then what will happen? We are not following the concept of dual aspect. We are not following the double entry system. And later, our accounting equation, which says the assets are equal to liability, that is, the total of assets in the balance sheet are equal to the total of liability and capital in the balance sheet, it is not going to match, because every transaction will have an impact on your both the sides of your accounting equation. And after every transaction, even for a transaction of 1 rupee also, this accounting equation is not going to change. That is, the assets will always be equal to the liability. So we have to be very sure that for every transaction, two impacts has to be given, one in the debit and another in the name of credit. So this is the accounting equation which we were talking about, that assets are equals to liability plus owner's capital. So how I can get the owner's capital? That is assets minus liabilities. So this is very important, that yes, dual aspect will say is yes, whatever you are doing, it is going to impact this accounting equation, and the impact should be given on dual aspect, that is debit and credit, because this equation should not change. The total of your asset should always be equal to the liability plus owner's capital. Why? Because your owner's equity is equals to assets minus liability. So if there is any kind of a error, if you have not followed the dual aspect, if you have not made a dual entry of debit and credit, if you have missed anything, then definitely your balance sheet is not going to get tally. That is, your asset side will not be equal to your liability side, and definitely then we can say yes, there is some error. Why? Because the accounting equation does not match. It means there was some error, and if there is some error, definitely the dual aspect has not been followed. So this concept helps us to find out whether we have committed some error in preparing the accounts or not. Another important concept, this is not basically a concept, this is a convention which is related to accounting. Conventions are basically the traditions or the customs of accounting which we used to follow. So these are the things which the accountants are doing from so many years, and now they find that yes, if we do the accounting in this way, it will be more convenient, it will be more easy for us to prepare the accounts. So we have a convention of consistency. Now what is this consistency? Now this consistency says that whatever you are doing, whatever is your procedure, whatever rules you are following, whatever principles you are following, whatever practices are there, whatever methods you are following, then you should keep on following it. You should be very consistent. That is, whatever you have done in the past years, the same should be continued, same should be done in the coming years also. It should not keep on changing. We should be very consistent with the application of rules, procedure, processes and methods in our organization. Why? Because if we keep on changing the methods, if we keep on changing the rules, the regulation, the comparability is not going to be there. I cannot compare the results of one year with another years, with the last years or the previous years. Why? Because on the previous years, some other rule was been applied. I was following some other method, and in the current year I am following some other method. So how I can compare the results of this year with the last year when the methods have changed? So for that particular reason, we say that we should be very consistent. We should not keep on changing our methods. So that the performance and the results of one period can be easily compared with the others. This particular concept also avoids the biasness of your accountants. Why? Because you have to follow the concept of consistency. So you have to be very consistent with the rule as per your choice, as per the choice of the people who are preparing the accounts. They cannot keep on changing the rules. No, you cannot keep on changing the rules, because somewhere you have to be consistent with what you are doing. So as per your choice, as per your will, you cannot make the changes in your rules and policies. So somewhere it put a full stop on the biasness of the people who are preparing the accounts. But if we follow this particular convention of consistency, it does not mean that, okay, you should not change. No. This consistency says, the convention says that you should be very consistent with the procedures, with the policies, with the processes and methods which you are following. But you should change whenever it is required. If it is very much required, if it is for the betterment of your organization, if you feel that yes, the method should be changed, then you are ready. Then you should make the change. So consistency principle says, convention says that the consistency should be applied and you should be consistent until and unless it is not required to make the changes. But if the situation demands that the method, the things should be changed, it is very much required that as per the industry, the people, other competitors in the industry, you have to make the change. It is for the betterment of your organization, then definitely you should make a change. But the change should be with a reason. Without any reason, you cannot make the changes. Like for example, in case we are charging the depreciation, we could follow any method. We could follow a fixed installment method, we can follow a diminishing balance method. So many methods of charging depreciation are there. So if I'm using a method of WDV, diminishing balance method, so I should be consistent with that method. I should follow that method in the coming years also, until and unless it is not required to make the changes for the betterment of my organization. Similarly, the stock, there are different methods of valuing the stock. And the company, they can choose whether they want to do it on actual cost basis or market price basis or whatever. So whatever method once you have taken, you should follow that to follow the convention of consistency. But somewhere if you find that yes, this method should be changed, which is for the betterment of your organization, that yes, you should definitely make the changes. Next is the concept of conservatism, or we can also call it as prudence. Now this particular concept says that you should not anticipate any profit. No profit. Don't anticipate any profit. Don't foresee any profit. Don't forecast any profit. But if you can smell, if you can find, if you can feel that there can be some losses, then yes, consider it as a losses and try to prepare yourself, your organization, to meet those losses. So this particular concept says that profit should not be recorded until and unless it is not realized, until and unless the profit is not been realized by the company. The company has not realized the profit. Don't consider it as a profit. Even if you feel, you are 100% sure that yes, this is a profit, but then also don't record it as a profit until and unless it is actually been realized by the company. But if you feel that there can be some losses in the near future, then you should start preparing your company for those losses, and you should start preparing the provisions. Very good example of that is that the provision for depreciation. We see that yes, in near future you will be requiring to buy a new asset, and in future it will be very difficult to make an expense of such a huge amount to buy a new asset. So what we do? We are seeing an expense in near future. So to meet those expenses from the first year or from the time when we realize that, we start creating the provision. We start keeping aside money out of my profit to meet those expenses in my near future. So this is the concept which say you have to be very conservative. You have to be very concerned with the profits. No, don't consider profit as a profit until and unless it is not realized. But if you feel, if you smell, if you have a thinking, if you have a understanding that yes, there can be some losses in the future, consider it as a loss and start preparing yourself for those losses. Provisions are the example of this particular concept. Provisions are the result of this concept of prudence. That is, we made for all the known liability, whatever liability we can see that there can be a liability to pay the loans. Okay, so start keeping a sum of money to pay the loans. If you see that there can be some expenses, an asset has to be purchased, keep aside money from your profits to meet those expenses. If you feel there can be some losses, there are some debtors, there is every possibility that the debtor is not going to make the full payment. Okay, I can feel that yes, there can be some bad debts. That is, my debtors are going to become bad. They are not going to pay me the money. If they don't pay the money, it is a loss for my business. So yes, this is a loss. I can feel it. So now from today itself, I am going to make the provisions to meet those losses in near future. So whatever contingencies you can feel, whatever losses you can feel, whatever expenses you can feel in your near future, you should start keeping money for that losses or for those expenses. So some of the examples for this concept of conservatism may be, you are valuing your closing stock at a cost or a market price, whichever is lower, or as I already told you, you are creating or you are writing off the depreciation for your assets, or you are creating the provision for your doubtful debts or your bad debts. You can also create discount on your debtors. You feel that yes, sometime in near future I will have to give some discount to my debtors, so that is also a loss. So you can create a provision for that also. We write off the intangible assets also. This is also the outcome of this particular concept. That is, we write off our goodwill, we write off our preliminary expenses. So this is the result of this particular concept. Now, whatever are the secret reserves, sometimes secret reserves are also being created by the organization. Why they are creating the secret reserve? The reason is they are not sure what can be the future, what can be the losses in the future, what can be the expenses. So to meet those contingencies, sometimes the organizations create the reserves also. Okay, but this convention of conservatism should be applied very carefully. Why? Because too much of application or too much of to be very conservative may give rise to problems. That is, you are creating so many reserves, you are creating so many provisions in your organization. So this is also not very good. So you have to be very careful in finding out what can be the probable losses in the near future, what can be the probable expenses in the future, and accordingly we have to apply this concept. But don't anticipate any profit. Don't consider profit as a profit until and unless it has been realized. But if you can find, if you can smell some expenses, start creating a provision, start preparing yourself to meet those expenses. So at the end, we can say that all the assets and liabilities which are being there in an organization, which are shown in the form of a balance sheet on a one particular day. That is, it is the value of the assets and liability on that particular date. That is the last date of the accounting period, and it will definitely help the stakeholders, the people who are concerned with the business, to understand, to assess the financial health of your business. It is only the master account. It is a kind of a summary of your financial position, and on both the sides, the asset should always be equal to your liability and capital. So this accounting equation is not going to change. So the balance sheet, if at the end your assets are equal to your liability, so we can say yes, we have followed the concept of dual aspect, we have followed the concept of accrual also, and that is why the monetary value of my assets is equal to the monetary value of my liabilities. So this is what we have for the balance sheet. What is a balance sheet? We have already seen what is a balance sheet, why it has been prepared, because it is prepared to understand the financial health of your business. So I hope that in this session we would have been able to revise some of the concepts which we have already studied when we were doing the accounting, and we will also be able to find out how these concepts will be applied when we prepare or when we look into our balance sheet. Thank you.